In 1930s India, a little Delhi girl named Shanti Devi, just 4 years old, stunned her family by speaking in the dialect of Mathura, a city in India she had never even seen before. More remarkably, nobody in her house knew how to speak this dialect. Shanti said that Mathura was her real home. She begged for her lost household religious idols and even told her parents that she had a husband there named Kadanath. She described him as having a birthmark on his face. This will later turn out to be true, that there was indeed a man named Kadanath in Mathura with a birthmark on his face. Her story got so popular that even Mahatma Gandhi got involved. He arranged for a special committee of highly respected individuals to document Shanti's case by taking her to Mathura to prove her memories. Was the committee convinced? Well, Gandhi's committee published a 1936 report concluding that almost all of her statements were verified and that Shanti Devi was indeed the reincarnation of Lakdi Devi, a woman who died when she was 23 years old. Hello everybody, welcome back to Mysteries of Asia, the show where we dive into the deepest mysteries in Europe. No, in Asia. Today we're talking about past life memories. I can't even remember what I ate for lunch last weekend, so I have no idea how this child that we're talking about today can remember an entire lifetime of past memories. The girl we're talking about is Shanti Devi, who is the most documented and easily one of the most credible cases of past life memories ever recorded. Her story continues to be debated till this day because the documentation and the evidence is really quite strong. Let's begin with the story. In the early years of her life, Shanti Devi was a remarkably quiet child. Her family thought little of it. I mean, after all, some children bloom late. But when Shanti turned 4, something shifted. A thread seemed to loosen between worlds, and she began to say things no child her age should have ever understood. No, nothing LGBTQ related. But when her mother offered her sweets, the girl would casually remark, "I used to take such sweets at my house in Mathura." When being dressed, she would comment on how she used to tie her sari or wrap her shawl back home. Then came the moment that changed everything. While sitting with her mother one afternoon, Shanti's expression went distant, as if a door inside her mind had quietly opened. She whispered, "I want to go home." Her mother laughed gently. "But you are home, Shanti," she said. But the little girl shook her head and said solemnly, "No, my home is in Mathura with my husband." Remember, she's 4 years old. Imagine a 4-year-old saying that. What husband? I'm not even allowed to have a boyfriend, a husband. Crazy child. That's how her parents would have reacted, like, this child is fucking crazy. But actually, then again, maybe not so much, because as we will discuss later on, reincarnation is quite a thing in India. Like, people believe in reincarnation.
Especially in India?
Especially in India, in Hindu cultures and Buddhism. So if they hear their child saying that, parents might actually entertain because they believe in reincarnation.
But is it like most of these cases are only in India?
That's a good point. So there are cases around the world, but a high number comes from India and Sri Lanka, places where they believe in reincarnation. Not long after, her school headmaster managed to coax a name from her. He was wondering, who is this husband that this child is speaking of? And the name of the man that Shanti claimed had been her husband was Kadanath Chaubey of Mathura. And she added that he had a distinct birthmark on his face. And remember this birthmark because it's an important detail for later on. Okay, I don't know. It's a bit weird to put them side by side because Kadanath is clearly an older gentleman and Shanti is 4 years old. But yeah, that's Kadanath and Shanti. That picture is more than 4 years old. So imagine a girl younger than that saying that, hey, I have a husband. It'd be a bit
insane.
Shanti then gave the headmaster the address of Kadanath's home and described the house as if she could still picture it. Curious and unsettled, the headmaster wrote to the address she provided, and to everyone's astonishment, a reply actually came back from Kadanath himself, confirming that the details stated in the letter were substantially correct. So how did Shanti even conjure up this address? How did she even know this address? Soon after, Kadanath's cousin, Kanji Mal, travelled to Delhi to investigate the claim in person. The moment he entered the room, Shanti looked up and recognized him instantly as her husband's cousin. She began reciting accurate details of his life, his home, the layout of his rooms, and the dynamics of his family. Kanjimal, the cousin, was obviously stunned. In his written testimony later, he confessed, "I was convinced that the girl was really my own relation, now personating in another body." How freaky that would be, man. Kadanath's cousin was probably a bit skeptical when he headed down to Delhi to investigate this claim. And imagine a 4-year-old child telling you explicit details that no one else should know. know. No one else from 145 kilometers away in Delhi could know about your own home, your relationships with your family. So I imagine that would have been quite freaky. The story grew so widespread that it reached the ears of the legendary Mahatma Gandhi himself. Intrigued, Gandhi arranged for a committee of respected citizens, Congress leaders, lawyers, journalists to formally investigate this bizarre situation. Their task was to document Shanti's journey from Delhi to Mathura and observe what would unfold when she met the people she believed were her past life family. And this important committee would soon be dumbfounded. On the morning of the journey, crowds gathered in the streets of Mathura. People wanted to witness what some quietly called a spiritual reunion. When Shanti and the committee arrived at Mathura station, something extraordinary happened. Among the sea of faces, she approached an elderly man and, without warning, she bowed at his feet and greeted him in the local Mathura dialect, a dialect she had never been taught. She claimed that he was her husband's brother. The man's name, Baburam Chaube, and it turns out he was in fact the brother of Kadanath. So Shanti was correct. The committee and everyone who witnessed it was stunned. Later that day, a man entered the home where the group was gathered. He introduced himself as Kadanath's brother, but Shanti was unmoved. She looked at him closely. The man had a familiar moustache, but more importantly, he had a birthmark on his face. She recognized him immediately. This was her husband. He had introduced himself under another identity to test her, and Shanti had passed without hesitation. And I guess that's quite a smart move to do. Really put her to the test, see if she actually recognizes me as her past husband. Kadanath then asked her quietly, "Can you tell me something only you and I know?" Shanti didn't blink. She said, "We have 150 rupees hidden in the courtyard at home. And I also remember the promise you made to me, that you would never remarry after my death. Did you keep your promise?" Upon hearing these words, Kadanath broke down. Whatever skepticism he held dissolved in that moment, and he accepted that Shanti was somehow the reincarnation of his late wife, Shanti Devi. How did she know that? This Shanti girl, very suspicious, very suspicious.
So if your late wife came back as a 4-year-old,
Would you love her the same?
are you allowed to remarry this kid?
I think back then, people marry very young, like 10 years old to 12 years old. Kadanath actually married Lakdi, his past wife, when she was 10 years old. So they got married at 10. Yeah. So Shanti is 4, so he just needs to wait 6 years.
Oh my god.
He just needs to wait 6 years. But who was Shanti Devi? Unfortunately, I couldn't find any images of her, but we know that Lakdi's life had been short and marked by tragedy. Lakdi was born in January 1902 and she married Kadanath at just 10 years old, as I mentioned earlier. In September 1925, she gave birth to a son, Nonita Lal, but just 9 days later, complications claimed her life at the age of just 23. She left behind a grieving husband and a newborn child, a life cut brutally short with love and responsibility ripped away before she could even begin her journey as a mother. And yet, if Shanti's words were true, Lakdi's story didn't end in that hospital room. She had returned 1 year and 10 months after her death, just in another form. If this reincarnation story is true, perhaps that's why God decided to give her another chance, because her life was just starting.
10 years old, being married to a man.
Why are you so let's not judge other people's culture, you know? Is it normalized now in India? I don't think so. I think it's no longer. But back then, it's 1902.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. When Shanti first met Nonita Lal, the son Lakdi had left behind, she broke down and embraced him with overwhelming emotion, saying that her soul recognized his soul. For a brief, astonishing moment, the boy even seemed to recognize his mother too. Over the hours that followed, Shanti guided the investigation team through Mathura with uncanny familiarity. She pointed out Lakdi's childhood home in Chaube Street, identifying neighbors and landmarks while speaking in fluent Mathura dialect. The whole thing of her being able to speak in the Mathura dialect is quite mind-blowing to me. She walked through the old house and described the layout with precision, the location of bedrooms, missing clothing, and even a dried-up well in the courtyard. Beneath that well, she claimed, was an old vault. Remarkably, when the committee checked, the vault was indeed there. So this was the vault where she told Kadanath earlier on that there was 150 rupees hidden in the vault and some jewelry. So Shanti even sorted through this jewelry, separating which pieces had belonged to Lakdi and which were Kadanath's current wives.
So he remarried?
So he did remarry. Yeah, he broke the promise. But Shanti did still ask Kadanath to take her back though. So I don't know how that would work.
What?
Yeah, it is reported that Shanti really wanted to stay in Mathura. So she asked Kadanath to take her back to Mathura.
Like a second wife?
I don't know.
Oh my Go.
Oh, that's so weird, man. If she actually is the reincarnation of the wife, the wife suddenly become the daughter. But some backstory on Kadannath, he's actually quite a rich businessman. He owned multiple stores. So, you know,
Money talks.
not saying that Shanti was a gold digger, but
Oh,
might be. I'm putting on a skeptical lens right now, but just saying. By the end of the journey, Gandhi's committee even published a 1936 report concluding that almost all of her statements were verified and that Shanti Devi was indeed the reincarnation of Lakdi Devi. So even Gandhi and this very important investigation committee concluded that whatever Shanti said is detailed and is verified. Critical examination. Alright, this was a very remarkable story, but as usual, we cannot be too naive and just take the story as fact. Shanti Devi's case is still one of, if not the most important cases of past life memories ever told. But are there any holes in the story? Actually, I think we already mentioned some of the holes in the story, but let's discuss and dive deeper. The first major crack appears in the committee's investigation itself. According to skeptics, it was commissioned through a nationalist movement that already strongly believed in reincarnation. The three authors of the report were not really independent scientists. They were Gandhi allies from the same ideological circles. The people investigating the cases were the very people most motivated to validate it, and that's never a good thing. Another investigator, Pal Chan Nahata, looked at the same material and came to the opposite conclusion, so he was a skeptic. He wrote bluntly that the evidence did not justify that Shanti had genuine former life memories. So even in 1930s, not everyone was convinced. Another crucial thing that the committee left out was recording Shanti's full statements before taking her to Mathura. And this is a serious flaw because without a pre-trip transcript, we cannot know for sure which details originated from Shanti and which details emerged after suggestion or prompting by invested parties while she was at Mathura. And remember, like, a lot of people, or most people in India, believe in reincarnation. So this story was huge back then. People knew that Shanti was coming back. Lakdi's neighbors knew that, oh my gosh, the reincarnation of Lakdi, my neighbor, is coming back to my hometown. Let's actually meet her. During this high and tense atmosphere, people might exchange glances, might subtly suggest things to Shanti, or even the way they question Shanti, right? They could be like, this is where you live, right? There's a vault there, right? There could be subtle prompting, even just in the questioning. Not saying that it actually happened, but that could be a possibility.
I mean, she's 4 years old, right? Fluent can she?
It's reported that she was fluent in Mathura dialect and she could speak. But yes, 4 years old, by right, you shouldn't even be able to form like proper sentences. But I think, I'm not so sure at what age she went to Mathura. Insert the detail here. Because I read that when she met Kadannath's brother, where she bowed at the feet, before she bowed at the feet, she was sitting on someone's lap, one of the committee members' lap, sitting and talking to people. That means she's still young enough to sit on an adult's lap. So I would assume 4 to 5 years old still. This was a huge moment back in India. Papers were published and it was the talk of the town, which brings us to another serious issue: information leakage. Before the highly anticipated Mathura visit, Shanti's school headmaster had already contacted Kadannath at 9 Chobe Street in Mathura. So this gave Lakdi's family ample time to discuss, share stories and prepare. By the time the committee arrived, people in Mathura knew why this group was arriving. They knew the girl claimed to be their neighbor, Lakdi. In other words, there was plenty of room for information leakage and, like I said, subtle prompting. So the most compelling argument against this case is that there are very little early written records that survive, because after all, it happened in the early 1900s. And of those records, how much of it is purely neutral? But this definitely doesn't debunk the whole story. Shanti was still very accurate in a lot of the details she provided, and there were tons of eyewitnesses. How did Shanti know Kadannath's address when she was just 4 years old? Even before going to Mathura, even before prompting and suggestions in Mathura. How did she know of Kadannath's birthmark? And how was she able to speak a dialect from a city she had never been to when she was in her family home speaking to her relatives? So, could Shanti Devi really be the reincarnation of Lakdi Devi? The most widely embraced explanation across many parts of Asia is that yes, Shanti's case really is proof of reincarnation and past life memories. Because keep in mind, many parts of Asia already do believe in reincarnation. In fact, 1/3 of the world's population believe in reincarnation, but it's taken especially seriously in Asia. In India or Sri Lanka, for example, discussing reincarnation can be a respectable academic topic, but in the more secular West, it's borderline pseudoscience. Asian cultures believe in samsara, which is the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. It highlights that the goal for us is to live and suffer here on earth until we eventually attain spiritual enlightenment, which will end this cycle of samsara. And this is the main idea of reincarnation. We obviously don't know if reincarnation is 100% real, as much as I would love to know, but proponents of reincarnation suggest that consciousness is not produced by the brain, but merely uses the brain as a temporary interface. When our body dies, consciousness detaches and enters an intermission state, which it will eventually take birth again. Young children retain fragments of their previous identity because their new ego, personality structures, and cultural conditioning have not yet overwritten their past memories, which to me kind of sounds like God fucked up programming or the creation. Maybe he was in a rush, very busy, a lot of people died that day, and he was like, oh shit, I forgot to erase that memory, wipe some memories. Just leave it there lah. Let's freak some people out.
Maybe life is just a simulation, and sometimes certain simulation just
Got glitch. Some
there's
glitches.
a glitch.
I think we should cover simulation theory.
Who's to say that this is not a simulation?
True. Actually, there are quite strong evidence though that we are living in a simulation. Let me know if you guys want us to talk about the simulation theory. But it's not really Asia. Let me know in the comments, guys. One of the most striking evidence of reincarnation is death type matching. This part of the story is a little bit, is it gruesome? Actually, it's not lah. It's not really gruesome. Just viewer discretion if you're a sensitive, you little bitch, little pussy. One of the most striking evidence of reincarnation is death type matching, which are birthmarks or birth defects that correspond to fatal wounds on the person's past life. So this was the part of my research where I was a bit mind blown because it's an interesting theory. So Dr. Ian Stevenson, one of the most prolific researchers of past life memories, analyzed 210 such cases in detail. About 35% of all reincarnation cases involved birthmarks that linked to remembered death. So his research suggested that children who remember their past life and have birthmarks, usually these birthmarks correspond to the wounds of their previous life, how their previous life died. So if you can see the Indian boy with chest marks, he had birthmarks on his chest. So this boy remembered that he was killed by a shotgun to the chest in his past life. Another girl, a Burmese girl with a deformed leg, her past life memory was that she was run over by a train and the train crushed her right leg first. Another Indian boy without fingers over here. Okay, this one is a bit gruesome, but his past life memory was that he put his hands in blades of a chopping machine. I'm not so sure how that killed him though. Blood loss, and oh shit boy.
I have heard that like moles that you have is like in the past life is where you get kissed a lot.
You get kissed a lot? On that spot? What? Where the hell did you hear that from?
TikTok or something. A lot.
So a person who has a lot of moles have been kissed a lot? Or is it that spot where you have a mole, someone kiss you there a lot?
Yes.
Shit man, my past life I'm gonna have a lot of moles on my face. Dewey loves to like kiss you. I'm gonna have a big fat mole here man. Babe, stop kissing me. I have a mole on my neck here, that means someone kissed me a lot last time here. At the back of the neck.
Or like, you know, if you have a mole on your cuckoo bird.
Do you have any birthmarks?
No.
There's a birthmark.
This is a birthmark.
Okay, zoom in on that. How would you have been killed? You broke your arm.
Or like something stepped through.
What birthmarks do you guys have? That could be how you died in the previous life, according to this theory. But yeah, I think that's a very interesting phenomenon because Dr. Ian Stevenson, during his interviews with thousands of kids who remember their past life, one common thing he noted was this, like their wounds, like I said, corresponds to how they died in the previous life. So what do you guys think? Is Shanti Devi's case proof of reincarnation, or was it something else entirely? What do you think, Annabelle? Do you believe in past life memories and reincarnation?
Honestly speaking, not really. But I do kind of believe in like good karma and bad karma.
That will carry on into your next life?
I'm not too sure about the next life portion, but just try to do good so that if there is, you don't know, but if there is, then good for the next life, I guess.
You're born as a rich Indian man with multiple properties.
I don't want
you can marry a
young
10-year-old
kids.
child.
No. I'm not pedophile, guys.
I lean more towards believing in reincarnation, but the thing is there is no solid proof yet. Even in what people say is the strongest case of reincarnation, that is Shanti Devi. As we point out, there were many opportunities for information leakage. The investigation committee itself is a bit flawed, and it's just a very old case. It's an old case in a country that heavily believes in reincarnation. So I'm not 100% convinced by this story. But I have to say it is a very interesting case. I guess this case remains a mystery. Let me know what you guys think, and thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. This episode has actually been requested quite a few times by some of you guys, and yeah, it was a fun case to cover. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye. Roll the outro. Roll the outro now, or you'll be very awkward. Roll it. It's rolling now, right? Hopping vampire. Ah!